Welcome to Utah Mushroom Hunter. I'm Blaine Washburn. I want to give you another video leading into the morel season, helping you understand what I see happening and what I think we can expect as we move into this morel season. And you know, we've had a super cold spring. I can't believe how cold it's been. Right here where I'm sitting, there was 10 inches of snow on the ground just a few days ago. And it's all been melted. It's a nice, beautiful day today, 70 degrees. And you know, that's certainly going to help these mushrooms pop here real soon, but I think we're a little bit earlier. I came out today. I'll tell you where I'm at today. I'm actually along the lower Provo River in Utah County, and you know, this is one area where I found some good mushrooms. I haven't found a lot of morels, honestly, in this particular area, but I found other kind of mushrooms, and I'm hoping that maybe I'm going to look around today and see if maybe I can find an oyster mushroom. This is a good time of year to find oysters, and there's a couple others that you can find that are good mushrooms this time of year. But anyway, we're super cold spring, and you know, 2 weeks ago I was up at Sundance, and I can't believe the amount of snow that was up there. Here's a few pictures just to show you what I saw up there, and they've gotten a couple more feet since I've been up there. It hasn't started melting up there whatsoever. If anything, it's just adding up there still. Okay, so look how much snow this is. This is a cabin that you can rent up here at Aspen Grove during the summer. You can see almost nothing. It looks like a little dog house almost, but this is huge, and that's how deep this snow is. We're above the doors. Look at that, above the doors. That's how deep all this snow is. All these cabins are just rooftops. Look at that cabin. Snow goes right to the ground. Pretty crazy. And that's one of the lower elevation ski resorts. You get up to some of the ones in the Salt Lake County, up Little Cottonwood and Big Cottonwood Canyon. Those ski resorts have like close to twice the amount of snow up there. I'm not sure exactly, but it's a lot of snow that they're getting up there. So we got massive amounts of snow that's going to be coming down out of the mountains, and I really think that we're set up for a really good morel year. It'll be interesting to see these next 3 weeks or so, the kind of precipitation that we get down in the valleys. One thing I want to do today is I wanted to show you a little bit. We're probably not going to be able to find morels today because we are just a little bit early. We're going to look, but I do think we're definitely early, especially with how cool it's been. I still think we're at least a week away from finding our first morel, and I'll show you why here in just a second why I think that. But certainly within 2, 3, 4 weeks we're going to get heavy into the morel season. So here is the KSL weather forecast, and look at this. We've got a few days that they're forecasting in the 70 degrees, and look at the 40s that for lows. These are the type of temperatures that trigger these morels and get them so that they're popping out of the ground. And they don't pop out immediately, but this is what's pushing them. This is what's getting them out. And so you're going to start seeing the morels popping up in the lower elevations. Like right here, I told you that I'm at the lower Provo. I'm not too far from the Utah boat harbor, and the elevation here is probably, I think we're closer to 4,400 feet above sea level. And if you get up into Salt Lake County, and if you get up into Davis and Weber County, there's a lot of areas that are closer to 4,200 feet above sea level, a little bit lower. And these low elevation areas here in Utah are going to see the morels popping up first. So here's an example of some lower elevation morels that we found. This was with my wife and my son, and we went out looking in an area not too far from Ogden, and this is what we found. And notice the microclimate. Notice that there's sparse grass. The soil is pretty sandy. There's not a lot of leaf litter, and you know, there's a mixed vegetation. This is what I look for, and this is where I typically find them.
You need to cut.
Oh, good job, Mason.
I cut it very low.
You're doing great. So that's the first areas to look, and then as we progress through the year, we're moving up in elevation, and here in maybe 3 weeks we're going to start seeing them starting to pop up in the canyons up and down the Wasatch Front. But these next 2 weeks or so, maybe even 3 weeks, all my focus is going to be on the lower elevation areas. And it's not just the Provo River, any of these lower level elevation rivers. I mean, this is in general the kind of vegetation you're looking for, but I'm going to get more specific. Even today in this video, I'm going to show you more specific some of the things that I'm looking for when I'm looking for morels. And again, I want to emphasize this. It's not necessarily about which river you're looking at. I mean, there are some areas that are certainly better for finding morels than other areas, but if you know, if there's a river and there's cottonwood trees like you see here, and you look for the right type of microclimates, and you're going to hear me mention that a lot in this video, microclimates, because that's what you're looking for. And I'm not going to be able to show you perfect what the microclimates look like today, because I don't think that this is going to be the ideal spot to find them, but I'll show you areas that I think you'll do good in an area like this, or at least you're more likely to find morels. But here in the coming weeks, I'm going to show you my hunts where I'm going to be going to my proven areas, the areas that I'm finding a ton of morels. And that's where we're going to focus in on. You're going to see what I'm looking at, and you're going to see what I'm looking for, and I'm going to show you what the microclimates look like. And hopefully I can help you find your first morel this year if you haven't found one yet. I'm going to take just a little bit of time to show you some of the areas and how I scout out areas to find morels. This should be very helpful information to you, and this is what you should be doing when you're planning your trips to go out and see if you can find some of these morels. But here is, I'm going to use Google Earth, and I'm just going to show you how I kind of scout the area out and what I look for. Okay, so let me show you what I do to find new morel areas when I'm unfamiliar with an area, or I'm just trying to figure out where to go. So this is up in the Ogden area, and as many of you know, we've got the Ogden River that runs down through here, and then we have the Weber River that runs down through here. So you zoom in on those areas and you start looking for areas with lots of trees and vegetation that you can go and explore. Now, I'm not super familiar with this area, but just looking through this area, this already looks like a fantastic area. You can see there's going to be a lot of the hardwood trees in this area, and the more I zoom in, you know, see, you can tell that there's a lot of grass and so forth, and there's going to be a lot of mixed vegetation. I think that that's probably going to be a good area. And so you can find little pockets like that. Like, look at this area right through here, okay? There's a lot of vegetation right through this area. So this is probably going to be a fairly good area. And look at that, you got it all up through there as well. And then you got the Ogden River here running through it. You've got a lot of area through here. Even these skeeting areas here could very well hold some morels in them. And look at this area through here. These are all fantastic areas to go and see if you can find a morel mushroom. So a lot of this is private land, so you got to be careful. We don't want anyone trespassing or going onto private land where they're not supposed to. Make sure you're staying in public land, in a public area. But there's trails all over the place that you can follow. And again, this is for the low elevation is what I'm focusing in on, because this time of year that's going to be our focus. And that'll only be our focus maybe 2, at the most 3 weeks, and then we're going to be going up into the canyons, and we're going to be looking for other areas. And so in those videos, I'm going to be focusing in areas like this. And by the way, I have no idea if this is private land or not, but this looks like a prime area. I have no idea if there's actually morels there or not, but all down through here too. Lots and lots of areas, and a lot of this is going to be private land, so again, be super careful. But if you can find little public access areas to go and search, there's likely some great morels to be found all through that area. And that's basically what I do. I mean, this is just off of Google Maps. Anyone can get on here and look and see those type of areas. But certainly there are some great areas. I know that when you get up here and you're looking in the Bear River area, I'm sure you can find some fantastic Morel mushrooms along the Bear River if you get into the right areas as well. So any of these low elevation rivers could potentially hold some fantastic morels, and they're one of my spots that I really like. I've zoomed over on this thing, and I'm not going to show specifically where that spot is because that's just one out of many different spots. I guarantee you there are lots and lots of spots that I just zoomed over that's going to hold morels, and the trick is for you to go out and find your own areas, your own spots. But one of my favorite spots is one area that I had zoomed over. And Salt Lake's going to be the same thing. We have the Jordan River that runs clear through here. I haven't spent a lot of time on the Jordan River itself, but there's no reason why there shouldn't be morels there. In fact, I'm pretty sure that you can find morels all along the Jordan River if you look and know where to find them at. And you're going to find them at the mouths of these canyons, perhaps, along these rivers here, and maybe even when they're going through town. So again, I just want to emphasize, it doesn't matter which river you're looking at. Is all you got to do is you got to find those pockets and be willing to go out and explore those areas that have the cottonwoods and the grasses, the mixed vegetation that's in there. They really like the sandy areas and closer to the rivers, the riparian areas, and that's where you're going to find them. So this is what I do. I just get on that Google Earth and I find those little pockets, and then I go and explore them to see if they're public land or not, making sure that they're an area that I can go on and search legally. Anyway, hope that's helpful to you. All right, so here is an area with a lot of wooded trees. You can see all that leaf litter that's here, okay? And what I have learned is that when you've got a ton of leaf litter like this, that is like inches thick, you can see how thick that is. My own experience is I don't find as many morels in an area like this necessarily. If I do find them, they're probably going to be, you'd be surprised at how many I found along trails that are like this. Okay? Here's an example of some morels that I found last year next to a path. These are not true morels. These are actually half-free morels and also verpa. But notice the microclimate that they're in. Mixed grasses and plants, and there's not a lot of leaf litter. This is where I often find morels. And on this side, see, here's the lower Provo River. On this side, if I'm finding them along a river, again, you'd be surprised at how many I find right along the trail like this. But as you get over closer to the riverbank, they really like being, within about 6 feet of the water. But they do not like being down in the water, obviously. And they do not like being soggy. They've got to be in an area that is they like the moisture, obviously, but they do not like it to be too wet. It's got to be up away from the bank, or away from the water, just enough that the dirt can drain. So again, I'm walking through this leaf litter, and I don't expect to find anything here. And what I like to find, let's see if I can find an area. I mean, again, we're kind of early in the year. I like to look for areas with a little bit of grass, and you see now how there's some grass right through here. This particular microclimate right here is a lot more interesting to me in terms of an area that a morel would like to be. Okay, so I'm not very happy with that microclimate example. It's early in the season and you can't see the vegetation, and it's not a very good example. But here's a clip showing you an actual area where I found morels so that you can see the microclimate. This isn't from this year, this is from past years, but if you look at it, you'll see the sparse grass, mixed weeds. They're still pretty small and young in this example, but you can see better the type of environment. Notice there's not a lot of leaf litter, where these morels are popping. But anyway, watch this clip. Okay, so here's an example of a young spot that is going to do amazing here in the next week or so. These are all young. You can see all these here. It keeps on going back. I probably can't see them, but back there are more. And if I turn around over this direction, look out through over here. I've seen them over here too. You know, they're just all over the place. See that? There's one up over there. This is a super good spot, and this is going to get super good in the next week. These should all grow up big. Oh yeah, see, come over to this spot. This is just over to the side, and see there's some over here too. See, they're just all over the place. It's a good spot. Now, as you watch my videos in the future, you're actually going to see me find morels in areas that don't look like this at all. Like, there's one along one of the rivers that I go to where I'm finding morels among rocks, and I fully expect to find morels in that area this season. And when I go to that spot, I'll try to show you that I think the rocks warm up the soil right there and keep it warm into the night and help them pop up. They may be the first morels I find this year is in that spot. And I've noticed they're on the kind of the south facing banks of that river, and they grow right up next to the rocks. And here's a short clip showing me finding morels among the rocks as I described in my video. This area very well could find some morels, but not my favorite area. Again, they like mixed grass and mixed plants. So just to kind of give you an idea of what I'm looking for. I don't expect to find anything today, but I think we are early. But I wanted to just kind of start getting your minds thinking about what to look for. Okay, so something kind of interesting. Some of the best mushrooms I've found in this particular area have been on this side of the path along these trees. And mainly Caprinus comatus, the shaggy mane. And I found a couple oysters as well. You'd think it'd be on this side. With all this leaf litter, it's one of the mistakes I made. I'm spending so much time looking in leaf litter. I mean, you can find mushrooms, and the shaggy manes actually do like the leaf litter a lot. So you'll find them in there. But the oysters, you're looking on dead trees that are recently dead, not too old dead, and the shaggy manes, Caprinus comatus, which will also be popping here super soon. Probably right along with the morels, we'll start seeing them. Maybe slightly later. You'll see them pop up in the leaf litter like this, but the morels not so much. Okay, so that was probably a pretty pathetic attempt at showing you vegetation and what to look for when you're looking for an area where morels may be, but it's hard early in the year when the vegetation's not there yet, and you know, it just doesn't look the way that it looks when the morels are actually popping. So we are definitely early, so I apologize about that, but make sure you subscribe and watch my videos. Make sure you follow me, so that, and of course give me some likes so that that'll help me out too, but so that you can learn how to identify those areas and help you establish your spots. I've got a lot more morel videos coming, and other kinds of mushrooms as well, but right now we're focusing on morel since that is my favorite mushroom for sure, and we're getting into we'll soon be into excellent morel time frame, and we should be able to find some good morels for you. So make sure you subscribe and watch.